Hello and welcome everyone, to this our little All Hallows read get together. We're going to be having just a little bit of fun tonight here on Mischief Night, the night before Halloween, sometimes also called Devil's Night, with me, your host, the Old Professor. Tonight, I'm hoping to share with you a few of our All Hallows Read traditions, including a bit of poetry, a bit of story, and perhaps a bit of other fun along the way. For those who don't know, All Hallows Read started a few years ago as a tradition where people would give out books along with other candy and treats to the little goblins that showed up in the dark knocking at the door. And it's spread beyond that, so now people enjoy sharing things like poetry, they enjoy sharing things like stories and fairy tales as well, which is very much what we have done over the past few years, is share some of our favorite spooky stories with everybody who's interested in participating in our All Hallows read. So that's what we'll be doing this evening, is sharing just a little bit of spooky poetry, a little bit of spooky story, and hoping to have a good time with all of you. So I thought we would begin with a pair of poems about witches, because if there's one time of year that is absolutely for witches, it is the Halloween season. So I'm going to share with you a couple of poems. The first one is by one of my favorite poets, Anne Sexton, and this is a poem entitled Her Kind. I've gone out, a possessed witch, haunting the black air, braver at night, dreaming evil. I have done my hitch over plain houses, light by light. Lonely thing, 12-fingered, out of mind. A woman like that is not a woman quite. I have been her kind. I have found the warm caves in the woods, filled them with skillets, carvings, shells, closets, silks, innumerable goods, fixed the suppers for the worms and the elves. Whining, rearranging the disaligned. A woman like that is misunderstood. I have been her kind. I have ridden in your cart, driver, waved my nude arms at villages going by, learning the last bright routes. Survivor where your flames still bite my thigh and my ribs crack where your wheels wind. A woman like that is not ashamed to die. I have been her kind. Thank you, Miss Sexton. A lovely poem for Halloween. And I'll be following that up with a poem by Edna St. Vincent Millay, and this one is entitled The Witch Wife. She is neither pink nor pale, and she never will be all mine. She learned her hands in a fairy tale, and her mouth on a valentine. She has more hair than she needs. In the sun 'tis a woe to me, and her voice is a string of colored beads, or steps leading into the sea. She loves me all that she can, and her ways to my ways resign. But she was not made for any man, and she never will be all mine. So there's a pair of poems to start us off on this All Hallows Read evening. I hope you enjoyed those. I always enjoy having a little poetry in my holidays as well. So thank you so much for staying with me on that. It seems, though, that I think we have a guest showing up to join us. I'd like you all to say hello to our dear friend Agatha the Ape. So say hello, Agatha. Hello. So we're very glad to have you here, Agatha. Do you like Halloween? No, not really. I find it a bit scary. Oh, it is a scary holiday, isn't it, Agatha? It's a little frightening. There's a lot of ghouls and goblins running around. We just heard some poems about witches. Oh, I'm sure that makes you a little bit frightened. But you know, there's other things about Halloween, right? That are more fun than that. Have you ever been to a Halloween party, Agatha? Oh, yes, I've been to some Halloween parties. I like dressing up in the costumes. I was a fairy princess last year. Oh, that's wonderful. What a wonderful costume that would look on you. You would look so beautiful in that costume, Agatha. I just know it. Oh, thank you. Yes. Now, when you are at these Halloween parties, Agatha, do you play any games at those parties? Oh, oh, well, sometimes we play some board games like Twister, and we play some guessing games and some charades and things like that. Oh, those are fun games. Have you ever played any of the really old Halloween games, Agatha? Oh, what are the old Halloween games? Well, for example, have you ever played Bobbing for Apples? No, no, I have not played Bobbing for Apples. What does that involve? Well, if you're bobbing for apples, at least the old way that we would do it, you would take a big tub and fill it with water, and everybody at the party would take a turn and they would carve their initials into the apple. And then they would throw the apples into the water. That seems like a waste of apples to me. Oh no, no, no! These are apples. They're not really for eating. They're actually kind of for romance. Apples for romance. That sounds very, very sexy. It does sound very sexy, doesn't it, Agatha? Yes. Well, so what they'll do is they'll throw these apples with their initials into the water, and then everybody will take turns. They'll have their hands bound behind their back, and they'll lean over and they'll try to catch an apple with their teeth in the water. And if they catch an apple with somebody else's initials, then that person is supposed to give them a kiss or a present, a sweet. They might give them a little drink. Ooh, that sounds lovely. What a fun party idea. Do you have any tubs full of water we could use? No, no. I'm afraid I didn't bring any tubs full of water tonight, Agatha. What about Snap Apple? Have you ever played Snap Apple? No, 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 I've not. What is that? What is that like? Hmm. So Snap Apple is kind of like bobbing for apples, except instead of putting the apple in a big tub of water, they'll string an apple up from sort of like a long fishing pole. You know what that would look like? Yes, yes, yes. Kind of a long stick with a string hanging off of it. Yes, yes, that's right, Agatha. Very good. Yes. So you take this string holding up the apple, and couples will take turns trying to catch the apple with their teeth as it's being bobbed around the room by somebody else kind of holding the stick. So it's bobbing for apples, but just without the water. Yeah, it's basically right. That's basically correct, Agatha. Yes. And of course, the person who's holding the stick will yank the stick away at the last second. So oftentimes, people who are diving for the apple will wind up in a slightly more amorous situation, with they'll be kissing or they'll pile against each other, things like that. Oh, that sounds like a very flirty game. It is a very flirty game. Well, that sounds fun. I would like to try Snap Apple with you. Oh, Agatha, I'm afraid not tonight. I'm afraid I don't have any apples. Oh, oh, that's a bit sad. It is a bit sad. Oh, but you know what else people do on Halloween, Agatha? Well, what's that? Well, sometimes they'll do fortune telling games where they'll try to divine the future. So sometimes people will have a silent supper where they set a table and see if they can meet a future husband or a future lover, something like that. Or they'll do something like a Ouija board. Ooh, Ouija boards scare me a bit. I'm sure they do, but you really don't have to be frightened of Ouija boards, Agatha. Did you know? Do you know that Ouija boards, uh, they weren't really always that scary? No, I didn't. Are they not supposed to make weird, mean demon creatures show up in your house? No, no, that's not really what they were for. They were actually for communicating with the spirits of the dead and talking to the ghosts of loved ones who'd gone beyond into the afterlife. And it wasn't really until the 1960s or so that they started getting the demonic association. And do you know why that happened? Was it the hegemonic control of the Catholic Church? It was indeed the hegemonic control of the Catholic Church. Well done, yes. Yes, the associations through things like the film The Exorcist and a strong backlash with people like priests kind of tainted the reputation and the image of the Ouija board. But they are lovely little devices, and they're a lot of fun to play with friends. Now, I think we'd have a bit of trouble maneuvering a Ouija board. I don't know that we could both fit our hands together on the planchette there. But I do have another way of doing a bit of divination, if you'll indulge me. We have an oracle deck that we could look at. How would you feel about that? Oh, that sounds fun. Is it also a fortune telling game? it is of a sort, right? It can tell us a little bit about ourselves. Sometimes it'll tell us a little bit about a potential future that we're going to have. So if you'd like, let me grab that oracle deck for you right there, Agatha, and we'll take a look. Now this one, it has a bit of a scary name. Oh, I don't like scary things. That's okay, Agatha. I'm right here with you. You're going to be fine. This is called the Mildred Payne Oracle of Black Enchantment. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull these cards out and we're just going to take a minute and shuffle them around a little bit and we'll see what comes up for you. What's your card going to be? All right. So I tell you what, I think your hands may be a little small. These are very big cards. Do you mind if I shuffle them for you? Oh, that would be lovely. All right. Well, here, let me get to it then. All right, so let's shuffle this deck. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. And you just tell me when to stop. All right? Ooh, ooh, shuffling them very well. Yes, thank you, Agatha. Yeah, I try to. All right, so let's see. Just let me know any... Oh, no, Agatha, where did you go? Come back. I saw a very scary image on one of those cards. Yes, there are some scary images. I'm sorry, Agatha. Yes. Here we go. Here we go. Let's shuffle them again. Oh, okay, okay. Stop now. Oh, okay. Okay, we'll stop now, Agatha. So let's see. You pick a card. You pick a card. Which card would you like? Are you going to take the top card? Okay, let's see. What is the top card? Oh, it's a black cat, Agatha. Oh, black cats, those are scary. Oh, Agatha, let me ask you something. Why do you think black cats are so scary? Well, they say if the black cat crosses your path, it's going to bring bad luck. They do say that, Agatha. Uh, but let me ask you this. When you think of all the cats that you've ever known, do they seem like they're all bad luck to you? No, they seem very fluffy. I like playing with kittens. Oh, good, yes, kittens are delightful. So why are you so scared of black cats? I don't know. I guess it's just that people talk about them like they're scary. People do talk about black cats like they're scary, but they're not scary. And did you know that black cats have a very rough time of it this time of year? Sometimes people try to steal them because they think they're fun, almost toys for Halloween. They're not toys, they're animals. They are animals, and we should treat them with respect, shouldn't we? We should treat them with respect. Yes, we don't need to be afraid of black cats, do we? No, I suppose not. That's right. The fear of black cats crossing our paths is a superstition, Agatha. And sometimes superstitions can be a lot of fun, but sometimes they can be detrimental to us. They can cause us to be afraid of things we shouldn't be afraid of, just like this black cat, right? So if we're thinking about what this black cat could mean, he looks like a scary black cat. And I think if we were reading this oracle card, we might think, oh, we should watch out for potential bad luck coming our way. But think about what you just said about black cats. They're soft and fluffy, and you've only known nice black cats. So I think you can choose how you interact with those cats, how you can choose how you interact with your future as well. So maybe if you make some good choices, you'll have the opportunity to make a new friend, like this little black cat. Would you like that? I would very much. Very good. Now, Agatha, you've been very, very brave with me tonight, and I really appreciate you coming by to visit me and spend some time with me here on this Halloween All Hallows read. I've got a little treat for you. Is that all right? Oh, yes, that would be very nice. So, I actually brought you a banana. That's a hurtful stereotype. Don't give me a banana. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know there's anything wrong with that. Would you like a bag of Skittles instead? Yes, please. All right. Here you go. There you go, Agatha. All right. Thank you so much for stopping by tonight. I'll see you later, all right? All right, goodbye. Thank you, Agatha. Have a lovely evening. All right. Well, that was very sweet of Agatha to stop by tonight, I think. I'm very glad that she did. She's a very, very lovely friend of mine, and I enjoy having her around. You know, that card that she pulled, that black cat, reminds me a bit of a story that perhaps I should share with you all tonight. This is a story that I'm collecting, or that it was collected in a book called Witches, Ghosts, and Signs by Patrick Gaynor. And it does, in fact, feature some slightly more terrifying black cats. It's one called The Black Cat Murders. And I'm going to share it with you now, if that's all right. There was a man who lived in a big city and was wealthy, but he invested and loaned money, and he went bankrupt. But while he had this money, he bought thousands of acres of timberland just to keep from paying taxes on his money. After he lost his money by investments, he told his wife and daughter, they had only the one girl, who was in society and had all kinds of jewelry and things. "We've got to sell this to pay the creditors. There's only one show for us," he said. "I might regain some of my losses by that timberland I have. If we can get a mill and go out there and stay, I might get on my feet again." Well, the girl didn't like the idea, and she fought against it. Oh, she fought bitterly. But he went ahead and sold her furs and her jewelry and got pretty well out of the debt. Then he bought a big sawmill and got a crew of men, and they went to work cutting the timber. He built a nice bungalow for himself, his wife, and his daughter. At the mill, which was just a little piece below the house, he built a shanty for the watchmen to stay in. The slabs and the fall off from the timber had to be burned every night to keep them out of the way, and there had to be a watchman so that he would have the fire going and have the mill in operation for the next day. One morning, the man went down to see why the fire hadn't been built, and he found the watchman just lying there with his throat slit, just like somebody had cut it all to pieces, and the watchman was dead. Well, he got another man, and the same thing happened to him. He didn't want to have any more men killed like that, and so the mill was idled. Then one evening, a man came along leading a pet bear. Now, when I was a child, every year at our one-room school, there used to be a man who came through leading a pet bear, and my father would keep him overnight, for he had a nice home down the road here, and my father would keep almost everyone who passed at night. Well, this man who had the bear asked to stay overnight at the house of the man who owned the sawmill. He said, "Well, I've got no room at my house for you all to stay, but I have a house down there at the sawmill with a good bed in it and plenty to eat. But I'm not sure you want to stay there." Then he told him what happened to these other two men who'd been killed and said, "I've not asked anybody to stay there since the last one was killed." The man patted his bear on the head and said to him, "We're not afraid, are we, Fido?" And the bear just growled and nudged up against him, just like a regular pet. Now, he took the man down there and showed him where the things were to cook and showed him the bed things and said, "Now don't you let anybody in here tonight. You lock up the door, and even if I come, you don't let me in here." The next morning he went down and the man opened the door. He had his breakfast ready and everything seemed normal, but the man told him what had happened during the night. He said he was sitting there after he ate his supper and had fed the bear, and he was so tired that he dozed off to sleep before he went to bed. He said the bear was lying there at his feet when he heard a little rattling sound at the door. And through the keyhole of the door came a long black cat. It just leapt right in, and when it got close to him, it gave him a great big squall and grabbed him by the throat, and he said it had him almost dead before he could even breathe. And he had just enough strength to tell his bear, "Sick him, Fido!" And when he did that, he said the bear gave a big leap and grabbed off the left paw of this cat, and when it fell to the floor, it was a girl's hand with a ring on it. And he said she went out the door screaming like a banshee and went right in through the keyhole. He said there's blood all over the place. He took the hand and wrapped it up in a piece of paper and said he was never bothered any more that night after he lay down and went to sleep. And when the owner knocked at the door the next morning, he said he was very surprised. When the owner asked him, "Did anything happen here last night?" he said, "A little." And he showed him the hand that had been wrapped up in the paper. He held it out, and the man fell back. He said, "My lord, that's my daughter's hand. She told me this mill would never do me any good, and it hasn't so far." He said, "She's sick in bed this morning. You come with me." They went up to the house, and when the man went in there, he reached out and got a rifle. He said, "You come on into the bedroom." They went in there, and the girl was lying there, very pretty, and she had the cover pulled up around her chin. Her father said to her, "Hold out your hand and let me see what's wrong with you." And she put out her right hand, but she wouldn't hold out the left one. He forced her. He took the cover and pulled it down so they could see her left hand had been chewed off. Well, right then and there, her father shot her. That was all she could do, for he swore that she'd given herself to the devil to become a witch, to get back at her father for making her live out there in the woods, away from her friends in the city society. chilling story for All Hallows read, All Hallows Eve as well. That one, though, always makes me feel a bit bad for the daughter, not least because, obviously, she gets the worst end of the deal, but because she got the worst end of the deal from the very beginning, didn't she? Her things were sold off. She had all of her prized possessions sold away because her father made some bad business decisions. It's a big shame that. In a lot of ways, I really sympathize with her. But then again, I also like any story that has a pet bear. So it seems, however, that we have another little friend coming by to visit with us, and this one is my very dear friend Ruby. Do you want to say hello, Ruby?
Hello.
Hi, Ruby. I'm very glad you've come by to visit us tonight. What brought you by?
Well, I heard you telling a story about lumber mills, and I'm a very big fan of lumber mills and heavy equipment, large machinery, things like that.
Yes, I do seem to recall that. You seem to have a lot of interests, right? What are some of the things that you enjoy doing? What are some of your hobbies?
Well, I really like writing, and I like reading, and I like chainsaws, and I like baking.
No, hold on just a second, Ruby. Can you go back one there?
Well, I'm a very big fan of chainsaws. I think chainsaws are a highly underrated form of entertainment, if you ask me. There's so many things you can do with them.
That's true. There are a lot of things you can do with chainsaws. What are some of the things that you like to do with chainsaws?
Well, I'm a big fan of juggling chainsaws when I get the opportunity.
That seems dangerous for a child your size, if I'm being perfectly honest.
It's a bit dangerous, but I've had lots of practice.
Well, that's I suppose good. So what else do you like?
Well, I like ice sculpting, and I like carving logs. Sometimes I just like to run around the yard with my chainsaw, chasing teenagers down the road. That's a lot of fun.
It does seem like a lot of fun. This is the time of year to really do that, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's definitely a good way to spend a Saturday evening.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have any chainsaws with me tonight, Ruby. So, is there anything else that you like to do?
Well, I like to draw.
Oh, that's a fun thing we could do, Ruby. Would you like to draw something with me?
Yes, that would be delightful. Let's draw something.
Okay, let's see. What could we draw? How about this? Would you like to draw, since it's Halloween, would you like to draw a skull with me?
Oh, that sounds fun, but I'm not very good at drawing skulls.
Well, I tell you what, I have a little trick to drawing skulls, and I'll be glad to show you. So how about I'm going to put you down here and give you a little pad of paper so that you can follow along with me. And the people who are joining us here tonight, they can follow along with us too. Would that be all right?
That sounds delightful. Let's do that.
Okay, that sounds good. All right. So Ruby, this is what I call the OICU method for drawing a skull or a skeleton. All right. And so what this involves. Oh, I need to get my pen. Ooh. Helps if I have something to actually draw with, doesn't it? Let's see. There we are. All right. So, what we do with this Ruby, we draw we draw O's, I's, C's, and U's to make our skulls. So we start with a pair of O's. All right. So we start with our pair of O's. What do you think those are going to be, Ruby?
I don't know. Are they going to be his nostrils?
It's a good guess, Ruby, but no, there's not going to be his nostrils.
Are they his eyes?
Yes, that's it. That's exactly it, Ruby. Very good. So these are the skeletons or the skull's eyes. Very good. So those are the O. So now we need to do our eyes. And for that, we draw two little eyes right between the two circles. All right? What do you think those are going to be?
Those are definitely nostrils.
That's right. They are the nostrils. Very, very good. So now we need a C. If we're going to be doing the C, that's actually going to be the dome of the skull around our skull. It's going to be the dome of the skull, right? So we draw a really big C, and that goes around the top of the skull, all right? So that's the top of the head.
Yeah, that's starting to look like a skull. It's pretty righteous. I'd get a tattoo of that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like that a lot, right? So now we just need the U. What do you think the U is going to be, Ruby?
I don't know. Is it going to be like his butt?
Ruby, I think that's a little much. We're just drawing the skull itself, not the entire skeleton. Plus, I don't think skeletons technically have a butt. So, what we're doing is we're going to draw a U at the bottom of the C, and we get the base of our skull, right? So there we go. And then we're just going to add in a few more eyes along the way to make the teeth and a line through the middle of them. And there we go. There's our lovely little skull. Not too hard, was it, Ruby?
No, that was really easy. Yeah, I liked that a lot.
Let's take a look and see how did your skull drawing turn out, Ruby? Let's see. All right, let's take a look at this. Ah, I think Ruby has something other than skulls on her mind, so that's okay.
Well, I do really like chainsaws a lot.
That's okay, Ruby. I understand. I understand. Well, I tell you what, Ruby. I don't have any chainsaws, but I do have a little Halloween treat for you. I actually got you something when I was out the other day. And I know that this is not a chainsaw, but I hope that this will be useful to you. I got you a 30-piece hardware tool set. It includes a hammer, all sorts of torque wrenches, all kinds of other things that you're going to really, really enjoy playing with.
That sounds like so much fun.
I know. All right. Well, I tell you what, Ruby, you go take this. You go have a good time. Have a wonderful evening. Go do whatever it is that you like to do with power tools and other things. All right.
All right. Good night. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, Ruby. Happy Halloween. She's a delightful little child, isn't she? Yes. So that's really almost the end of our show. I would, however, be glad to answer any questions if anybody has any questions for us this evening. I've got a little chat open, and I'm happy to answer a few. I'm seeing a few people saying they're enjoying this quite a lot, and I'm glad to see that. I truly am. I don't see any questions particularly in the chat, but I see our dear friend Uncle Firelight is there in the chat as well, and maybe he has some questions for us. He has a specific number, it seems like. Let's see. Anybody else in the chat have any questions? I don't see any in our little question tab, so, but that's okay. Well then, all right. If there's no questions, I hope that you all have enjoyed our time here tonight. Before we head out, I'm going to have one more poem for us tonight on our Halloween evening, just to close us all out, our All Hallows read. I hope you've had a good time here. I'm really glad that you came to join us. If you're interested in hearing more of our Halloween stories and hearing more of our spooky Halloween tales, we have a whole bunch of audio stories through our website, newworldwitchery.com. All of our All Hallows Read tales are available for people to listen to, and we would love for you to go check those out. All right. Well, before we leave, I'm going to read one final poem here. This one is a poem by poet Sarah Teasdale entitled Dusk in Autumn. The moon is like a scimitar, a little silver scimitar, drifting down the sky. And near beside it is a star, a timid, twinkling golden star that watches like an eye. And through the nursery window pane, the witches have a fire again, just like the ones we make, and now I know they're having tea. Oh, I wish they'd give a cup to me, with witch's currant cake. All right. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Have a happy Halloween, a delightful mischief night, a wonderful devil's night, and a very happy All Hallows Read.